Very good evening to you from the sports desk. Let's focus on some football news. The 2025 Cosafa Cup knockout stages will take place this Friday, the 13th, with host South Africa taking on the Comores. In the other semi-final, Angola will face off with Madagascar in the earlier kickoff. The finals will take place on Sunday, the 15th of June. The four semi-finalists qualified by topping their respective groups in the tournament that is currently being held in Bloemfontein. Cosafa Executive Director Sue Destombes joins us now to talk to us about the tournament so far. Sue, a very good evening and thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody, and to the viewers.
Thank you so much. Let's from your perspective and vantage point, how would you sum up the level of competition so far as we're heading to the knockout stages on Friday?
I think it's been a very interesting tournament with the likely candidates, Zambia in particular, having bowed out, and the unlikely candidates, our islands, Madagascar and Comores, really having come to the fore, and both of them having qualified for the semi-final round. Mauritius also having really lifted their game, having drawn against Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and South Africa. Whether it was 0-0, it was a draw nonetheless. So they also, have very much improved in this edition. So it's been an interesting tournament.
Would you say, and I think that's one of the conversations we had last year about the level of competition really rising, but also the gap between the so-called bigger teams and the newer members, if I can call that, becoming a little bit closer. Would you say that we are again seeing that gap being narrowed?
Very much so. Very much the leveling of the playing field from the traditional leaders of the pack to the minnows. It's not there anymore. It's very much a level playing field. So it's rewarding, I think, because I think that over the years the continuity of the competition has borne fruit.
If you look at some of the teams that are participating, and also, for example, using Bafana Bafana as an example, we saw yesterday that Bafana Bafana playing in the Cosafa and Bafana Bafana playing later on in the evening under coach Hugo Bruce. What would you say about that, where people sometimes look at it and say, well, it's a competition for fringe players, as it were, but the level of competition does not reflect that?
No, exactly. I think sometimes people are too critical to say that the teams that play in the Cosafa competition are not necessarily the in inverted commas the A team. But if you look at a country like South Africa, they've got such a depth of players that they can field four teams, as a senior national team. Zambia as well. A lot of the teams in this competition, of course, have brought their A team because they've either qualified for the CHAN or the AFCON. Angola, in particular, have brought a strong team because they're preparing for the CHAN. But certain countries have different teams, yes. But all of them is the kind of pool of players that they have.
Absolutely. And I think over the years also we've seen the tournament being used by many a country to breed in young players and to unleash a number of superstars that we've seen. Angola over the years has done that. Bafana Bafana, as we've just mentioned, has done that. And Zambia using this as a stepping stone to to unleash and unearth other players. But looking ahead to the semi-finals this coming Friday, what can we expect? You look at it also, as we said, the level of competition has been quite high. Looking at the semi-finals also, we're expecting some exciting clashes.
I think so. As South Africa, Comores is, I think, going to be very interesting because Comores is a strong team. with Comores always, a lot of their players ply their trade in France. So, they very much a mixed bag. They performed very well in their group of three. Madagascar. The last time Madagascar did, kind of really well in this tournament was 2018 in Polokwane, as one will recall. And they went from that tournament to having qualified for the first time ever for the AFCON. So, there's really going to be, I think, two very interesting games, Angola versus Madagascar. Angola having brought a strong team, their coach, determined to be preparing their team and defending their title from 2024. South Africa, Comores, an interesting game indeed.
If you look at this from a spectator perspective, and the question always comes, Sue, that the relationship that you have with South Africa, how has how has it been from a spectator perspective in terms of fans coming up to support the matches, considering that it's not only Bafana Bafana that's playing, but quite a number of teams that have played over the round-robin stages?
We've played this over the FIFA window primarily. It's not all of the matches, but it has been played across the FIFA window. Bloemfontein, Mangaung is traditionally a city, I think, with a large support. A little bit, kind of disappointing in terms of some of the spectatorship, but with the matches, being played across the week, not just at weekends. So it's very different from a one match perspective, whether it's a PSL match, or whether it is a national team match where it's a one-off and you'll fill the stadium. With the tournament, of course, you've got a mixed bag across the 10-day, 2-week tournament. Yesterday we had quite a good a crowd at the Petrus Malamela for the South Africa game, particularly bearing in mind it was the 3 o'clock. So it's about weighing up having an in-house crowd versus the television audience. But we're not unhappy and go ahead of the semi-finals on Friday. There's a lot of activations and mobilization across the city tomorrow ahead of Friday. So hopefully we get a good crowd on Friday for the semis.
And just finally then, I guess also speaking of crowds, so on Sunday, and me being biased here as a South African, it would be great to have South Africa playing in the final just to make sure that those fans come in their numbers for the final.
Absolutely. Of course, that's what any tournament wants is to have the home team go right through to the final. I must say that the whole of Mangaung and the Free State, the legislature, the provincial government as a whole, coming on board and excited and determined to have the last two games well patronized.
Sue Destombes, thank you so much for coming through to speak to us. She is the Cosafa Executive Director, talking to us about the Cosafa Cup that is currently underway in Bloemfontein. The round-robin stages were finished yesterday with the semi-finals confirmed for this Friday, the 13th. And of course, the finals are being played on the 15th of June. South Africa still very much in the tournament. They will be playing against the Comores, but also the big challenge that's coming there from Angola, who have also made it through by topping their group. Right.